Hello everyone, a very warm welcome all of you to yet another sociological concept classes by Sunya IAS. And guys, the topic that we're going to discuss today is serendipity. And this topic is quite important because a straightforward question was asked from this particular topic few years back, a short note kind of a question. And also, this is also a very potential topic because UPSC can again ask a short note kind of a question in the future also from this particular topic. And in today's session, I'll be talking about what is serendipity. In a very simple layman language, I'll tell you what is serendipity and what is the significance of serendipity. So let's start with the session. So as you can see, this concept of serendipity was given by none other than very renowned sociologist Robert K. Merton. And he basically talked about this concept of serendipity in his very famous essay, that is Bearing of Empirical Research on Sociological Theory. So whenever a question comes with respect to what is serendipity, you need to mention certain names, that is R.K. Merton, Robert K. Merton, as well as the name of his essay where he talked about the serendipity, that is Bearing of Empirical Research on Sociological Theory. Now here let's talk about serendipity. Here R.K. Merton basically argues that empirical investigation or any kind of experiment has been assigned a very passive role. And what is that passive role? He said that passive role is that it is limited to only and only to verify or validate the hypothesis, or to refute or reject the hypothesis. We all know what is hypothesis. Hypothesis is a tentative statement that proposes a relationship between two or more variables. Just like if I have to say a hypothesis example, so probably I'll say that dowry is related with education. So this is an hypothesis. So through empirical investigation, this hypothesis will be tested based on whatever facts we are getting during our conducting an empirical investigation. But here R.K. Merton says that the role of empirical investigation doesn't only limited to this part. In fact, the role of investigation is far broader. Like he said, it can also lead to formulation of new hypothesis. Formulation of new hypothesis. And when a new hypothesis is being formed, it can lead to either new theory, or it can also lead to extension of existing theory. Extension of existing theory. Now here let's move forward. See, this is the basic that I was telling you. When there is a formulation of new hypothesis, this is called basically a serendipity component of the research. Serendipity component of the research. Why? Because while conducting an experiment, though you are trying to observe anything, any particular phenomena, but all of a sudden you come across new facts that lead to the formation of new hypotheses that ultimately have a bearing on the theory. It may lead to new theory, or it may lead to extension of the existing theory. So serendipity component basically is discovery by chance. Discovery by chance. Okay, I'll give an example so that you'll be able to understand it also. So you can also say that serendipity pattern refers to coming across data that is unanticipated, that is anomalous, and that is strategic. So I'll just write it down. I'll just remove all the ink. So serendipity means coming across data that is unanticipated, anomalous, as well as strategic. So unanticipated data, anomalous data, or strategic data. These are the three components. Now when you say unanticipated data, what does unanticipated data means? It means that you are coming or you are discovering the data by chance. Okay, you are discovering the data by chance, which will ultimately have a bearing on the theory. So discovering data or facts by chance, that will have a ultimate bearing on the theory. What is anomalous data? Anomalous data means that any kind of a data that seems inconsistent with the existing theory. Okay, inconsistent with the existing theory, thus it is giving a further push to conduct a research in a proper direction. So seems inconsistent with existing theory, giving the push to conduct further research in particular direction. Okay, and what is strategic data? When we say strategic data, it means that data is quite important and it has a bearing on the overall generalized theory. Okay, whatever theory you're going to formulate, new theory you're going to formulate, is going to have an impact on that. So important data having an impact on generalized theory. It can create a new theory, as I mentioned. It can lead to new theory, or it may also lead to what? It may also lead to, you can say, extension of existing theory. Existing theory, right? So this is overall the serendipity and serendipity pattern. So whenever you come across such kind of a data, this overall exerts a pressure on the investigator or on the researcher to conduct a research in the new direction. Okay, conduct a research in the new direction, and when an investigator conduct a research in the new direction, it leads to creation of what? As I mentioned, it leads to the creation of new theory or the extension of the existing theory. Now here, let's talk about example that will help you to understand all this content. Now the example is that there was an Hawthorne experiment. Hawthorne experiment that was conducted between 1934 to 1932 in a Western Electric Company. Western Electric Company by Elton Mayo in Chicago, USA. Now here the main aim of conducting this investigation to find out relationship between physical working condition and financial incentives and overall productivity of the productivity of the employees. Okay, so this was overall the aim of conducting an experiment. aim of conducting an experiment to basically find out the relationship between this. But while conducting an experiment, though initially physical working condition like better lighting condition, better hygienic conditions, giving them financial incentives, though it increased the overall productivity of the employment, thus profit margin of the company was increasing. But later on it was seen that to a certain extent only these parameters, parameter A and parameter B, they were helpful. In fact, there were other parameters that were equally important in increasing the productivity of the employee. And what are those parameters? Those parameters were like we know that man is a social animal. So the need to get identified with the informal group, need to get identified with the informal group. Okay, need to get identified with the informal group, plus interaction between the members within, or you can say interaction among the members of those informal group. Among the members of those informal groups. This was also equally important because when various working class people, they are working together, they are coming from various background, various ethnicity, various race, various religion, okay, various class, and probably all these people are primarily from middle class or lower middle class or poor class. So they want to get identified with any particular group which is informal nature, where they can interact freely, where there is no relation of subordination or domination, but the relationship of cooperation and coordination. Plus they also when you work in any kind of industry, suppose if I am working in any kind of industry and I am belong to the at the lowest level, so when I interact with my own people, I'll feel it's a kind of a forum where I'll be able to bust my own stress. I'll be able to tell them how I feel from inside. So interaction is very important. Okay, and this informal group is also controlling their behavior. Controlling their behavior, because they have their own norms regulating the behavior of the people who are working in the industry. So these parameters were very important in increasing or decreasing the productivity of the employee. So these were you can say discovered while conducting a Hawthorne experiment. And with the discovery of these parameters, that these parameters also have a very important influence in increasing or decreasing the productivity of an employee, these parameters led to the, you can say, foundation of human relation management. Human relation management. So this is also you can talk about as a kind of a serendipity, that they were actually looking into these parameters, but throughout their study, while conducting study, they come across new patterns. Okay, and that led to the foundation, acted as a founding stone for human relation management. That is also very important because humans are social animals. They need to interact freely, and there comes the informal group importance, and need to get associated with any kind of an informal group that is there in the industry. So this is how you can talk about the serendipity pattern. Okay, you come across certain data, and when you come across certain data that is not consistent with the existing theory, so it may lead to formation of new theory or extension of the new theory. Just like these parameters are important, but other parameters also should be need to take into consideration. So it's a kind of an extension of the theory, right? So this is overall you can talk about the serendipity. Now if you may ask what is the importance or the significance of serendipity, so when we talk about significance, it broadens the scope of sociology. You are not only looking into the how the people are working, what is the impact on the society, but you are also looking here, if you look into this part, you are also looking into the psychological factor, that how the individual person is feeling. because if they're not comfortable, because if they're not able to vent out their frustration, if not able to interact freely with somebody of their own genre, so they won't, it will automatically have an effect on their productivity, right? So it's not only sociological, but psychological impact is also having a bearing on the productivity. Plus it also broadens the scope of your research, because you're only looking into this part. But when new facts were coming, new facts came, so ultimately you are started considering these parameters as well. So that's why a complete new dimension, human relation management, came into existence. So this is, you can talk about, this is how you can talk about what is serendipity. Okay, remember to quote the name of the thinker, the essay, and then whatever I have given you with respect to the content. Okay, remember to mention certain critical word, that is the word like unanticipated data, anomalous data, strategic data, and then you can quote the Hawthorne experiment. So that will overall make the whole content holistic, and you'll gain a lot of edge if you write in this in this systematic manner. So friends, that is today for overall session with respect to the serendipity. So thank you and all the best.